Hello and welcome to the Trib Friday Night Multimedia Podcast, coming to you from the Super Centex Studios in downtown Waco.
What makes
Just a few feet off Franklin Avenue.
What makes it multimedia?
Well, because we're talking and there's video.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's on the internet.
Okay, all right.
And we're writers.
Okay.
And we have Twitter and Instagram accounts.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Does the podcast go out on Twitter? I think a link of it does. So.
It could if we wanted it to.
Okay, go on.
I'm Chad Conine, along with Trib Sports Editor Bryce Cherry. As we look outside today, and it's gotten sunnier since I drove into the office. It was cold and rainy earlier. But it's kind of like we skipped fall and went directly to winter, which happens here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But not many high school teams have indoor practice facilities. And like I said, it's turned out to be a nice afternoon for practice now. But earlier, when it was 40 degrees and windy, it was not something.
Last couple of days for sure.
Oh, yeah. And I guess your son Cooper has been practicing in that.
So not really, because he does go to one of the rare schools that has
an indoor
facility. In fact, I picked him up the other day and asked him. I said, "Were y'all outside?" And he said, "We're never outside." So yeah, Midway is one of those that is blessed with an indoor facility.
Well, if you were a high school football player, would you rather, if you had to pick one or the other, you don't get any days in the 60s and 70s. You got to either go 90s and 100s or 40 degrees with a sharp wind.
This is the easiest question ever for me. I'm going heat all the way.
Yeah, you're a hot weather guy.
Yeah, summer's my actually my favorite month or favorite season. I like. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if we had that third choice of like 75 on here, I'm going with that. But as a choice between heat and cold, I'm taking heat. We've got a little puppy. I've mentioned our little puppy before.
Oh, the dog. The dog rules everything at the Cherry household.
Well, and taking her outside now is much more of a chore for us because it's gotten cold and nasty. And I'd much rather go outside and sweat than go outside and shiver, So, I'm... And I don't envy you guys covering the games because here in 2020 you've had to cover many
sit outside,
and it's starting to get a little nastier.
Well, it's going to be high of 60 on Friday, and so so when the sun goes down, it'll probably dip down into the low 50s. And I haven't talked to Coach Bell yet to find out if they got a spot for me in the press box at China Spring, but. Definitely thinking about that.
Yeah, no question.
So, but the thing about cold weather practices and games, when you start to sweat, doesn't that you kind of get that numbness, right? Whenever it's really cold, or actually when it's hot too, but cold especially. When I come out of the gym, as I did yesterday when it was cold, it doesn't really bother you as much. You've heated up your body.
That's fair. And certainly when it's really, really hot, we're talking 100 plus. That's dangerous for practice because we've seen things over the years where accidents where people have had heat stroke and that kind of thing. And I think here in Texas, the coaches are really, really knowledgeable about that, and they put in a lot of water breaks and stuff. This isn't the Junction Boys anymore. I mean, they're real careful about making sure everybody's hydrated and cool, and taking some breaks. So nobody wants anybody passing out on the field.
Right. I think football coaches have accepted you can be tough but still not want to die of dehydration.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, let's do something a little bit different. We've never done this before on the podcast, but we're going to call it Podcast Jeopardy.
Okay.
I'll tell you what's at stake in a given game, and you tell me, or I'll just tell you what's at stake, and I'll tell you what game, and you tell me the matchup.
All right. I'm listening.
Okay, the first category is pride.
Pride. What's at stake? Only pride is at stake in this game. I'm going to go with Waco High and Midway.
That's correct.
Yeah, the Lions and Panthers, are just lumped in a district that we've talked about. I mean, it's the district of death, starting with Duncanville, and we saw just how much better Duncanville is than Waco High. And John said it could have been a lot worse. John Werner covered that game for us, and Duncanville's on another level. And then there's still some other really, really good teams in that district. Could Midway still sneak up there and get in? Maybe.
The winner of this game that's just for pride,
right?
They could.
Yeah, they could.
But
they're not eliminated. I mean, but you're right. I think both of these teams have an uphill climb to the playoffs.
Right. Because if you look at it, Waco High has already played Duncanville, and they haven't played Mansfield. So if they were to beat Midway and then go beat Mansfield, then they've got a good shot at it.
Yeah, and I think Midway is not that far off. I mean, we've seen the last two games, close games against South Grand Prairie and Mansfield. They just haven't quite learned to finish yet. Right.
Okay. The next category is second place.
Second place, which Ricky Bobby would say is not so good.
Yeah.
But
if you're not first, you're last.
Right,
I think
that's
is what
correct.
Ricky Bobby
Yes.
Actually, Ricky Bobby's dad said that.
Yes, that's true. Ricky Bobby was like, you could be second, you could be third. But yeah, I'm gonna go China Spring-Connally on this one.
Correct. You're 2 for 2.
2 for 2. Maybe I should go on Podcast Jeopardy.
Right, exactly. Got
So
the Daily Double coming up next.
Yeah, obviously Salato's proven itself as the class of that district and the one that's going to go on and be the top seed.
Number 1 seed, yeah.
So Connally and China Spring, they get a chance to to play it out for second, and second in that district is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, I think that's a really good game on Friday.
Yeah, I think second. I don't know exactly who the third place team is going to play, but I'd rather be second than fourth.
Well, certainly.
Because you know who fourth plays.
Fourth plays Carthage, is that right?
That's right.
Oh,
that's correct.
Man.
Yep.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Okay, the final Double Jeopardy category is playoff spot.
Playoff spot. So 2 teams in our area playing for a playoff spot. I'm going to go with Cameron and McGregor.
3 for 3.
McGregor.
Got all of them.
Yeah, so that district, now, I think it still could go, that one could still go down to week 11.
You can still lose this game and make the playoffs, but you're going to make the playoffs if you lose.
I think that district is coming down to week 11 in terms of how it all shakes out. But this basically, I agree with you that this game basically gives the winner the inside track for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it looks like it's Lorena and Troy and Rockdale right at the top, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Cameron and McGregor. I mean, the Yeomen. It's weird to see them here with 3 losses, and they're another team, that has been really, really close in games and just hasn't quite finished. I mean, they had that 1-point overtime loss to Troy,
Right.
So, I think this is going to also be a really exciting game. I mean, they pretty much always are in that district.
Yeah, and I think both teams stand to win in week 11, or they have a good chance of winning in week 11.
Yeah, I haven't looked ahead at their schedules.
Actually, this might be the final week for Cameron. They might be.
Okay.
So they need to win this one, or they're sitting home watching.
Right.
And hoping.
Right.
McGregor has Caldwell in week 11.
Okay.
And McGregor has beaten maybe the 2 best teams in the district in Cameron and Rockdale.
McGregor's playing Cameron this week.
Troy and Rockdale.
Gotcha.
The Maroons threw me off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'd say that Lorena is the best team in the district.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be my vote, but.
Well, 2 of the best 3 then.
Okay.
Rockdale and Troy.
Right.
But then they dropped the game against and I know they're kicking themselves. If they beat Academy, they look real good no matter what. Because then you beat Academy and you beat Caldwell and you put somebody else up against it.
Yeah, no doubt.
But The winner's going to walk off the field happy after this one.
Sure.
Yeah. So now let's get into the weekly pound for pound rankings. Who you got?
So absolutely no changes this week, which I think might be rare. But I will say I am drawing a line after Mart. So Wynn, I'm sure, can put that together for us on the screen. But I got Mart and then everybody else. Before we were saying Mart and La Vega were really, really close in these pound for pound rankings, but I think Mart's starting to distance itself. And Mart has clearly, for the last, half decade or more, been so far and above everyone in its district. I mean, so when it gets into district play, you see a lot of 63-0 type scores.
Right.
And it doesn't matter who they're playing and how well the other team's playing. They come in against Mart and they just can't compete. So the Panthers, to me, are looking more and more like the prohibitive 2A Division II state champion favorite, which would make 4 in a row, which would be incredible and certainly give us a lot more to talk about here on the podcast. But La Vega is 2. They're coming off a loss to Midlothian Heritage. But I think, as I said to you last week, I didn't want to overreact when China Spring lost to Salado. I also don't want to overreact to La Vega losing, to a good Midlothian Heritage team. I mean, that team is strong, and let's not forget La Vega's body of work, for the whole year. Because when we were sitting here earlier in the year going, my gosh, they're going out and beating everybody in the top 10,
Right.
And then they ran into Argyle, and now they have 2 losses, but.
And it's like in between those losses, it's not like they've, limped along.
Right. Yeah, they're beating the teams they should beat and beating them handily. And then they're running into some good teams every now and then. And, I think last week it really sounded like it came down to some unfortunate turnovers and maybe some mistakes. So, they got to clean that up. But if they do, they'll still be, among the best.
Right.
And then in that, La Vega's followed by Crawford, China Spring, and Abbott. And I think we saw, China Spring rebounded nicely from the Salado loss and really, had no problems with Robinson last week.
Right. Now, let's say that we were going to make a lunch bet.
Okay.
And whoever's team lasted the longest in the playoffs.
I'm taking Mart all day.
No. Throw out Mart. You don't get to take Mart.
Okay, Mart's off the table.
That wouldn't even be a bet.
I got me a free lunch.
Right, exactly. You can either take La Vega.
Okay.
Or you could take China Spring, Crawford, or Abbott.
Okay. Wow. Man, I'd have to do a little more research before I make this bet, because I want to see who they might match up with.
Well, just statistically speaking, as like an economist or something.
Yeah, you would want to take the other 3.
Right.
Yeah, because you'd have a better chance. Yeah, wow. You know what? I might stick with the Pirates.
I would disagree with you strongly.
Okay. All right.
Because I don't think La Vega's getting past the Okay.
Let's make that.
I'll just go ahead and say it. The wrath of whoever coming down on me. I don't care at this point. I don't think La Vega's going past the regional final.
Okay, we'll see.
I think there's a good chance that one of those other 3 goes past the regional final.
You may be giving them some good bulletin board fire here.
Okay,
if they listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody out in Belmead listens to the podcast.
Right, sure. And that's Argyle's a really good team, and they're
you think?
Yeah. So, well, finally, a couple weeks ago we talked about Eddie Van Halen after he passed and kind of gave proper homage to him. And the last week, a couple of Texas country music legends have passed on. Billy Joe Shaver and Jerry Jeff Walker. I know you're a big country music fan. So let's say you're driving home from covering a playoff game. What song gets you through those long late night journeys?
Well, before we explore this, I was just thinking about this as you were saying their names, Billy Joe Shaver and Jerry Jeff Walker. I mean,
those are just good
country music names. I mean, if you were going to be a a country music guy. What's your middle name?
Samuel.
Chatty Sammy Conine.
Yeah, I might have to go away from Chad. Chad's not a really good country music name.
Yeah, you might. We'd have to Cletus or something, you know. I don't know. But
Jerry Jeff Walker, I don't know if that's his like given birth name or whatever, but he's from New York actually and moved to Texas, I think in the 70s.
You're blowing my mind.
Yeah, I know.
To answer your question though, I mean, you can't go wrong with the King of Country and George Strait.
I had a feeling you were going to say George Strait.
Well, I mean, I think you have to start there. And to me, like Amarillo by Morning is probably, the like perfect quintessential country song. It sounds like country music. But, in thinking about, okay, your question says, what would you listen to if you were riding home from a game or something? You don't want to necessarily fall asleep either. So, I mean, I really like Garth too. Garth's great. Yeah. And I was thinking, this isn't my favorite Garth song by a long shot, but if you just wanted something that would kind of get you going and and everything, it would be probably Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up.
Oh, yeah.
It just, it rocks along, and you kind of can't help but sing along to it, and it's got he's got great backup singers in it that really howl and stuff. So, yeah, that one, you can't help but just sort of rock along to.
What's the one where the daddy comes in and finds the mom in home and goes back out with the...
Oh, that one's Papa Loved Mama.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Is that George Strait or
that's Garth. That's Garth. Yeah. And then, I will also mention, if we're kind of like bringing it a little bit more into the 21st century. Well, so I know, right? I mean, that's like controversial because people think, modern country music sucks. And I would say that you have to look a little harder for it, but it totally exists, okay?
Right.
And in fact, I think in the last 2 to 3 years especially, it's really seen an uptick in terms of maybe a renaissance.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm a big fan of Chris Stapleton and Sturgill Simpson. So. Yeah,
those guys are great, and I think you've seen a pushback on like the bro country era a little bit. And so a guy I really like, I don't know if you've listened to him, but John Party. He's just kind of a honky tonk kind of. He's got a little bit of sort of 90s country sound to him, and there's a great song called Heartache Medication that I really like.
Okay.
It's a good sing-along song. So
it's a song about whiskey then.
It's about drinking, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's his heartache medication,
Right.
But yeah, so those would be some of my choices, I would say.
Now, when I was like just starting out covering ball games on Friday nights for the Lubbock Avalanche Journal, I'd ride out to these games in places like New Deal and Idalou and Tahoka, O'Donnell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I had stolen this CD from my sister.
Okay.
It was the Brooks and Dunn.
Love Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah, it was the one with No Fences. I mean, not No Fences. Neon Moon.
Oh yeah.
And I don't like Boot Scoot and Boogie, but it was on there. But Neon Moon and
Neon Moon is another one that to me is just a classic country song.
Right, exactly. And I think there's just a bunch of good songs on that album. I can't think of them all. Well, there's the one where they're chasing down their lover and she'd gone to some town.
My Maria?
No, gosh.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at that CD. I had it too, but
she's asking about a diamond ring. They just look at you like you lost your mind and say they haven't seen a thing.
Yeah, what's that song?
Oh gosh.
It's gonna be bugging you the rest of the day.
It is gonna be bugging. I should just get my phone out and look it up. Can you vamp for a minute?
Okay.
Do you think who do you think is going to win between China Spring and Connally?
That's a great question. Man, that's a really great question. I think I'll probably go with the Cougars since they're at home, and perhaps have a little bit more run pass balance than Connally does. Connally's been real reliant on the running game, and I think Major Bowden for China Spring, has the capability of throwing it around a little bit. So I'll take China Spring in a close game.
Yeah, do you think that Connally can do to China Spring what Salado did and just run it and hold on to it and keep it out of the hands of that?
If I'm Shane Anderson, I'd totally try to steal that script from Salado, and that would be my game plan, is to, try to bleed the clock, go on some long, sustainable drives and keep it out of China Spring's hands. Sure.
Yeah. Okay, here, I finally found it.
All right.
I don't know if we have the rights to this or not, but anyway.
You're breaking all kinds of rules. What song is this?
She's a cool drink of water.
Oh, my.
She just hawked the ring I bought her.
I certainly hope.
She might be the devil's daughter. But she's a cool drink of water.
Yeah, I have a vague recollection of that song. But I certainly hope people have clicked off the podcast by now.
I don't think I was very in tune. I don't have my guitar with me. Next time.
Next time.